Nice, dude. I love the way you made the truck sound at the end.
I know. I did.
Hey, people, we're here with Nat Janoff, who is one of your jazz, really, really heavy-hitting players. You got to check him out on YouTube, and you can see. And he also obviously plays all kinds of style, but he's really an amazing player. And what I wanted to ask you, Nat, is just please tell me. When you remember from when you first started, I want to know what made you get into it? What did you see to get into it?
Right.
To get into it, and I want to know what was your first guitar you got? Like, how'd you get it?
Sure.
Everything. So, tell me.
Well, you know what's funny was I got into guitar through when I was in third grade. I started piano. You know, my mother played piano. She's like, "Why don't you play piano?" And I did that, and then I got into bass guitar, and then all of a sudden, at some point, I guess this was when MTV was getting bigger, and I saw "So This Is Love," this song by Van Halen, this live tune. And I was hearing Eddie Van Halen, and I thought, that's what I want to do. That's the sound. I don't know, the sound I heard, made me say, yes, I want to do that. So, we went to I think it was some store in Willowbrook Mall.
Harmony Hut.
Harmony, was that it? That's right.
That's how long we've been in this business, my friend.
Yeah, Harmony Hut. And I'll never forget it. I got it was a Hondo, Explorer. It had a spider web. Paint job was hilarious. And I got that, and I'll never forget. You know what's funny? My dad got my brother a guitar. He played for a little while. You know what's funny? I had a bass amp, and I thought, I'll use the bass amp. But when I heard my brother had this amp with distortion, I'm like, oh God, I made a mistake. So I said, hey Pop, can I go back and get an amp or something? Or maybe at this point, after my brother did this for a week or two, and then that was the end. I took his guitar, but he's a great guy. So that was the beginning. I forget the amp. I don't even know what it was, but I loved, just loved rock and roll, and I loved. Maybe at that point I was just loving improvisation, or there's something about, I love Van Halen songs, and I am a big fan of songs and bands and singers, but that was the portal to get into playing in a pretty serious way was Eddie, and then I started to read Guitar Player magazine, and that's how I learned about a lot of other people that I came to like, and other styles, and it was great. I got a lot from that magazine, and then what's funny is I tried to get bootlegs of Van Halen, because I love the live versions. I just love the sound, So that was the beginning. That's what kind of got. What's weird is I didn't sit down and copy really his stuff. I kind of played with it, or I don't. What's weird? I never spent a lot of time copying things note for note, which probably would have been good if I did, but For some reason, I don't know, I have a funny history of like how I learn things and, you know, why I know what I know, but...
It's probably why you improvise, because you're doing it your way.
I don't know, I guess, or maybe, you know, what's weird is I kind of, you know, at this point I had gotten some really good teachers and I kind of knew I guess I kind of learned the theory behind stuff.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Well, when did you decide that, you know, you really take it to the next level? As far as very seriously and really, like, say, I want to be a musician my whole life.
You know, I guess when I was 16, like, so the Van Halen stuff maybe was a year or two before that. You know, maybe I think, and then I maybe when I remember being like 16 and having at this point I had 2 teachers who were great.
Wow. Okay.
that I really liked, and then I started to practice a lot. I remember coming home and just working on, you know, the things, some of what I felt was really important that he was giving me, and just kind of I was just trying to play with people in high school. You know, at that point there were no programs of any kind to like organize yourself. This was back like, you know, you just had to find somebody to play with, and just kind of do it all yourself, which I think ultimately in the end any successful band does that. They're their own like business almost. And then through reading like Guitar Player magazine, I found out about these other guitarists that my favorite guitar players liked. So Eddie Van Halen would talk about Alan Holdsworth, or I would go to the 55 bar. Now I was a little older, I could drive. I was 17 or 18, and then at some point I would drive into New York, and I'd heard about this guy Mike Stern.
Okay.
You know, Mike Stern used to play with Miles Davis, and I would go. You know, the 55 bar is a bar on Christopher Street in New York, and what's interesting is you could go in, and if you sit at a table, I think you could be underage as long as you sit at the table. You can't sit at the bar, right? And I remember Mike Stern was my gateway into like jazz and jazz rock and just improvising, which, you know, I don't know, I just always loved it. I don't know. So
seeing it live kind of sparked you.
I mean, seeing it live is amazing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's just it's a great thing. I'm not surprised that people who, if they haven't seen a lot of live music, if they see something really great, they'll react to it. They'll love it. They'll be like, this is amazing. You know, so.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to people today? Even if, like, just say kids are saying, well, what would be your ideal situation to say, you know what, we need to spark this industry. How do we get, you know, like, what would kids do today? Like, what would you do in today's, you know, different situation where there's no, you know, not much live music that we had growing up to say that we saw, like my era, the Beatles.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, wow, that's made me want to grab a guitar.
Right. No,
you know,
that's
like, what do you
true.
think? What do you? Is there any advice you can have to kids today if the kids are thinking of an instrument? Like, what would you say might your advice for them to do?
You know, that's a great question, actually. I mean, YouTube is amazing. I mean, in the sense that everything exists there all at once. You know, going to see it live would be great, and if there's some possibility of even checking out other styles like blues, go into New York and, you know, try to go into New York and see a blues concert. Traveling to New York is really not that impossible. Yeah. It really isn't. You could take a bus, you could take a cab. You know, you could even, like with the internet now, you could look up clubs and who's playing. You can watch them on YouTube. But I just think going to see something would be amazing. There's also great people in New Jersey. I mean, you can look, you know, there's lots of good things happening at Tierney's still, and Montclair has trumpets. Okay. And if you just look on the schedule, just search whoever's playing. You know, Dave Stryker is a great guitar player who has great bands, who plays a lot in New Jersey and all over the world. Between New Jersey and New York, there's still a lot of very good things, you know, because a lot of these shows really are not so expensive. You're not, you know, to see something in some club around here or even in Manhattan, you don't have to spend $100.
Right.
Now that I think of it, there's a place that has some great, say, jazz or funk stuff in West Orange called Papillons. That usually on Thursdays there's some cool stuff there.
Oh, okay.
But there is great music out in New Jersey, you know. Maybe people have to kind of say, you know, I'm not going to just stay home and look at my computer all night again.
Get out and see
like,
how
you
people
know,
breathe with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I
work,
don't know. You know, it's just like, I think it's, if they do it, they'll have a lot more fun. They'll say, hey, this was really cool. I'm glad I did this.
Yeah. But let me ask you,
Sure.
How important is it to study and take lessons, in your opinion? As a player like you are so accomplished and you love what you do, because it's obvious by how you're burning up the fingerboard. But how important could you stress that, or you feel in your heart?
Finding someone to work with who you have a rapport with, you like their style, you like how they work with you. Because it's literally someone cutting down, or how would you say this? Cutting through a lot of stuff, where you can save a lot of time. You can make very quick progress, and you can have a lot of fun. Having enthusiasm for it is the secret. You know, that's I think people only get turned off. You know, it's funny. It's like anything. You have some experience, and maybe it turns you off, and it's you wrapping the experience up with being turned off by what you're doing, but that's not it. It's maybe that person just wasn't the right.
Connect with you.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be, you know, you just have to find someone you like to work with, and that can be great. Yeah. I felt it was very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say? I mean, I guess the nice thing about it, there's certain ways to practice correctly too. That's like you're saying, that speed up time.
Sure, yeah,
you can spin your wheels, not getting the right proper avenue.
Yeah,
or vehicle to do it.
Exactly. If you can just be open to someone's help, you know, it can, and we all have resistance to things, but if you can find someone who can help you move through that stuff, you can have a lot of fun, have great results, and maybe do things you never thought you could do. So
that's good. Yeah. All right, close it down now, and I'd like to thank Nat Janoff for being here and talking to us. And you got to see him on YouTube. This man smokes. This is a true testimony to what you put into an instrument, you get out of it, hands down. And thank you guys for listening. And this is from Encore Chat. Really put an effort in to learn an instrument. It's so important. Thanks again for lending an ear. Thanks for stopping in to Encore Chat. I'm Pete Schmiedhauser, that owns a small little store called Schmied's Music, 831 Route 10 East in the Pine Plaza Shopping Center in Whippany, New Jersey. Thanks, guys, and stay in touch to see more videos to come.